Welcome to Shift Notes, Conversations on Resilience. Have you ever finished a shift and sat in your car in silence, not ready to face home just yet? Do you ever feel like you're carrying the weight of the world home with you? You're not alone. I'm Jacinta Marshall-Crouse, and this podcast has been a long time coming. It's created for the people who give everything on the front line. Firefighters, paramedics, nurses, police, and even defence personnel. Shift Notes is your space to breathe, to process, and to start writing your own story of resilience. This is episode 1, Why Does Shift Notes Exist? I grew up in a family where service wasn't just what we did, it was who we are. My grandfather was a brigade captain, my parents both officers in the Royal Fire Service, and my brother still works there today. And in my wider family, service runs deep. There's generations of military and emergency responders who understand what it means to show up when it matters most. I joined the New South Wales Royal Fire Service as a teenager. It felt like coming home. The smell of smoke that lingered in the station, the chatter of the radio, the sound of sirens in the distance. That was the soundtrack of my youth. I worked in communications, not out in the field, but even from that side of the radio, I learned what teamwork, trust, and calm under pressure really means. You hear the tension in a voice, the relief when a crew makes it back, and the silence that follows a hard call. These are moments that stay with you. What I didn't realize then was just how much those years would shape me, not just through the adrenaline or the sense of pride, but through the quiet that comes after. The moments when the radio goes still and you're left alone with your thoughts. That quiet stays with you. When I eventually left the RFS and moved to other workplaces, I kept looking for that same sense of camaraderie, that deep trust and shared purpose. Honestly, I never really found it again. Writing became my way of finding it, just in a different form. I started small. On quiet days at the station, I'd scribble stories in a notebook. At first, they were about other worlds, places where people faced fire, fear, and loss. But I realized later I wasn't just writing fiction. I was writing the things I couldn't say out loud. Writing became my debrief, my way of sorting through the noise. It gave shape to emotions that didn't always have words. And over time, it became a way to build resilience. One word, one sentence, one story at a time. This is why Shift Notes exists. Because I know what it's like to need space to process. Word by word, paragraph by paragraph, story by story. And I know the quiet power that comes from putting pen to paper. Not to be perfect, but to be present. This podcast is about stories. Yours, mine, and the ones that help us find our footing again. It's about journaling, creative prompts, and practical ways to process what sits heavy after a shift. Each episode will give you space to write, reflect, and take something small but meaningful away. Before we start our first prompt, let's talk about your journal. Your journal is your safe space. It doesn't have to be fancy. Mine's a simple dotted notebook. My brain just prefers the dots. Yours might be plain, patterned, cheap, or stunningly beautiful, bound or spiral, whatever feels right in your hands. The only thing that matters is that, well, it's yours, your safe space. And you don't have to stick to words. No. You can draw, doodle, sketch, cross things out, write messy. Use colors, use highlighters, use washi tape, use none of that. Use stickers. This isn't about perfection, it's about presence. Your journal is where you get to show up honestly. No filter, no expectation. Now, let's begin your first journal entry. Find a quiet moment or a corner of one. It might be a few breaths between shifts, a coffee break, or the drive home. And ask yourself this question: what brought me here? Write about the road that led you to this work or to this moment in your life. You don't have to go deep, just trace the outlines of your beginning. This is the first chapter of why you show up. And like I said, if words don't come easily, that's okay. You can start with a list, a few small notes. Even one sentence can open the door. When I start a page, I might even start with a lined post it note that I end up sticking in the corner of the page. In future episodes, we'll explore different ways that you can journal. But for now, let's just start. Don't worry about getting it right. Just make it yours. While you're focusing on your page, I want to leave you with this thought. Resilience doesn't begin in the big moments. It begins in the quiet ones. When you give yourself permission to pause, reflect, and take note of your own story. Your story matters. And this is where we start writing it together. So, thank you for taking the time to listen and for the work you do every single day. What we talk about here might stir memories or emotions. That's part of reflection. But please remember, Shift Notes is a companion, not a clinician. This podcast is for general information and reflection only and isn't a substitute for professional therapy or mental health care. If something feels heavy, please reach out to a trusted professional or support service. You don't have to carry it alone. Take a few moments this week to revisit your journal. You'll find extra prompts on my social media if you'd like to keep writing. And if you want to read more, visit my Substack for Shift Notes short stories. Go on, be inspired by the people I've known on the front line. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And I look forward to writing alongside you next time.